Saif Alshagra is providing pricing strategy for CAR T cell therapy. What is CAR T therapy? Basically, it's an immunotherapy that uses gene therapy and manipulation to fight off cancer cells within the patient using their own immune system. The manufacturing process takes about 2 weeks. The whole process takes about 6 months. The pricing strategy initially was based off cost effectiveness pricing, where they calculated the cost, the profit margin, the cost of delivery, and the markup associated with that. And they switch into the value based approach, which is the value creation for the patient and the healthcare system. And in addition, the accessibility regarding insurance coverage. Then they set the pricing structure based on the different segments of the customers to accommodate the need. And based on that, they communicated the value to the end users, whether they are the patient or the healthcare providers. And with that, the structure of their pricing policy was set to make sure it's fair and consistent with the price levels, and all that translate into long-term profitability for these organizations. Currently, we have two FDA US approved therapies and three in Europe, including these two. And the pioneers and the first invaders were Gilead, followed by Novartis for the autologous in the US and Europe, and now Atara on the allogenic only in Europe. We anticipate about 24 of them will be uh, in the market within 2024. The profit margin and the estimated revenues are high. Gilead's still on top. They were the first in, followed by Novartis, and follow on. The complexity of such a complex process and therapy is showing on this diagram, and that shows the value for the patient. Once they get selected, they go into selection process, and then they will go into either academic if they were in healthcare setting, in the clinical trials or healthcare setting. Then it goes into the manufacturing process, and the manufacturing process takes about 2 weeks, very complex, and then it goes back to the patient to infuse it back into their immune system. The different segments of the customers dictated two subtypes of therapy, the autologous and the allogenic. The autologous basically is the same patient, their own cells being manipulated and fused back into them, utilizing their own immune system to fight off those cancer cells. With the allogenic, it's a healthy donor with good genes, good blood structure, manufactured, create a batch, multiple doses that goes into multiple patients, infuse into them to fight off. And that's more appealing to these organizations due to the fact it's more profitable, which I'll show in the case study they did regarding the cost effectiveness pricing. So back in 2017, they calculated how much it would cost if you will go with the autologous or the allogenic. So the autologous is one-to-one, basically the patient, their own cells into their own body and immune system. The allogenic, a healthy donor into multiple patients. And what came down is the consumables, where you will consume all of these once for one patient only, rather all these consumables and associated quality control testing for one donor that goes into multiple, and some you can scale up to 20,000 actually if you build up a good cell bank and cell culture around it. So autologous came around 95,000, the allogenic around 4,500. And then they continued the study where they understood the different costs associated with different regions, and this was within North America and South America. And they calculated the salaries, the office space, the equipment, the waste, the utilities, and they looked at all these factors to come up with the 95K and the 4,500. And based on our book and class, it does align with uh, what we read and what we learned. They started with the cost effectiveness pricing. Basically, this is the cost with a markup. They moved into a value based pricing, and that dictated the high price that the customers are willing to pay for. So initially, that 95,000 actually now it's 300,000, three folds, and the 4,500 actually it's around 100,000. My recommendation for future 2.0 of CAR T cell therapy, initially we focused on the patient and we understood the requirement and the need and the meaningful value that will determine the price structure and the value associated with that. Now we need to shift our focus on educating the healthcare physicians and make sure they understand how that community understand the CAR T cell toxo ecology part due to the fact it's very toxic if you can't understand or manage it in a good way. The logistic part also is very challenging due to the fact it's still a new, it's almost 5 years old, and those raw materials do cost money. The the market access is currently only in the US and Europe. We need to expand that and get more approvals in more regions and basically create an evidence, regarding the effectiveness of such therapy and accessibility. Thank you.